Hey guys, Thomas the Jr. here, aka Mustached Tom, and I'm here to review the movie Midway. Now, before I begin my review, if you end up liking it, then consider joining my Patreon. That will be in the link in the description below. So, Midway is based on a true event. The events of not only Pearl Harbor, but the effects of Hiroshima and the aftermath of that as well, and even before that as well. So I believe, if I got the dates correctly, we first actually see it take place in 1937 as Japan's forces and Britain's forces are meeting in a place of peace. But Japan's leader is talking about how they are being targeted and how they are in desperate need of supply, and that if they don't get said supply, that they're probably going to have to go to war. And of course, 10 years later, or approximately in 1942, the early aughts of that month, or year I should say, we cut to Dick and Murray, I believe their names are. So Dick is our one of our main characters, as he's trying to show Murray the ropes of like how to land with all this equipment on the plane, on the one of those old school planes. I forget what if they had a specific name, but whatever. Um, so the team is coming into Pearl Harbor, one of the many boats. We see a character named Miller. He's this guy with the yellow hat. And we cut to Pearl Harbor, and Sully, another character, talking about the set, like this little setup that they're trying to get across. But shortly after, they are fired upon from the air. Meanwhile, we cut to a simple household where a character named Elaine is trying to figure out what's going on, because he was part of that peace treaty talk with Japan that all that time ago, and now he's seeing the aftermath of that. So he arrives close to the scene to see the carnage that is ensuing on Pearl Harbor, and two pilots are attacking. So Miller's like shooting out, trying to like help them out, and then after Dick leaves, I should say, and while the attack is encouraged, Lane enters this building, and he wants to have the planes followed to pinpoint their location. We meet Bryan Cranston's character, whose name I forgot. He's like one of the commander guys. And Dick, seeing how one of his friends was killed in the attack, he wants to nuke all of Japan. So one death equals bad times for him. Anyways, instead they plan to smoke him out. So he carries out his mission and drops like one of these smoke bomb things. And the team is very upset when they're like talking about what happened. After the fact, Murray learns of the death of one of the friends as well. Dick talks to his either girlfriend or wife, either way. I'll just say wife, assumably. And after that, he talks to one of the survivors on the boat about what happened to his friend who got killed, and he sees the body. We cut to a radio update, and we cut over to Japan, and Japan's leader specifically, aware of what he has done and aware of what he will need to do in order to keep the assault coming after the fact of Pearl Harbor. And of course, as I mentioned, they were fighting for oil. So a new leader is assigned to the Pearl Harbor after the fact, and we also see that there's very loose rumors already about Japan planning to attack an area called Midway. Now, Midway is an island, for those of you who do not know, and actually I did not know that either. Um, so the team of pilots meet up at the bar, and Dick gives his speech about the people they lost and how he shares his little story. We cut to Nimitz, the guy from the beginning, the British leader at the beginning, um, and Lane talks to Limit about their plans. We cut to later on in the year, on Marshall Island. So Japan sees them coming in, and they try to send in a torpedo, um, and they keep spotting the attacks that are heading in towards them. And it's looking really bad for the Americans. But Dick manages to land one of the bombs on them on their little base, and with Murray, attack two more planes that are effectively trying to track them and kill them down. So after they come back, they get attacked right back soon after. Like, they come back to wherever they were, and then Japan comes in. Bryan Cranston calls over Bruno to promote him. He's like this Top Gunner who like shot them down when they were coming in. And we cut to Hawaii, where two of these soldier guys are talking to Dick's wife, and then they go for a little dance. They return to his home, and Dick like looks at his kid and is leading. He gets like placed in a lead charge in April of 1942, and they get these new planes, and they plan to bomb Tokyo this time. And we already know where that is going. Pearl Harbor. They raid off and go. Nimitz returns home to say that the men who went out didn't make it back, and wants to make amends for his failures. So we cut to Hiroshima Bay, and they make pretty quick work of that, and they want to continue on the assault after the fact. So the soldiers come in, and they're like in I think they were either in the outskirts of Japan or China, I forget which one. And Emmett and the leader, I forget the actor's name. He's the guy in both Zombieland, the older guy, Tallahassee, that actor. I forget his name right now. But yeah, that's the other leader guy. And the outsiders get attacked too. These people who are like either in the outskirts of like Japan or China, who are like starting to trust in the American people after the bombing. So we cut to May of 1942, where Bryan Cranston's character, hold on now, lost my plates and my notes, talks to two soldiers, and Dick is promoted with this other guy as well to become a dive bomber. So, meanwhile, Japan is also having their own little meeting about what plans they have to attack next. So we cut to Nimitz, who's mentioning Midway, which is some base in Hawaii, I think it was. And that's where Japan is planning to attack. So Nimitz leads on, and we also meet Brigham, who meets with the leader. They're talking about all these cracked messages that they were able to get, how they were to pinpoint some of Japan's like interceptive like calls or whatever. Um, so he calls in and changes the location to Midway. They have it so it's like a little bit of leeway of like how they changed it, and then we cut to May of 1942, Midway, the area, and this camera crew is like coming in and they're like starting to record for this movie, and they have no idea what's about to happen. Meanwhile, Dick comes in and he's training. He's telling his men to train. One of them wants like back down, and he offers to be this guy's wingman. So he pushes the wingman in, and that plane falls into the water. He didn't catch it up with enough speed, and that caused him to die. Um, so in May of 1942, back at the Pearl, Bryan Cranston meets the new captain, and they're talking about how he's like injured or whatever. So he returns home, talks to the wife about leading his men. That being Dick, I think I meant to say. Meanwhile, on the Pearl Harbor, uh, the captain wants things fixed as they are making their new plans for a new attack. And Lane is suggesting that Japan has this like setup of like they're trying to suggest that there's another possible spot. Um, Meanwhile, another plane like crashes down and the boat returns. So we see Nimitz wanting to say just to make sure that things are at the peak of what they could be. We cut to June 4th of 1942. The camera crew's like still hugging around, and Dick talks to his crew about like what's gonna happen. The planes head out, and we start to get these time intervals. It was like 6:40 in the morning or whatever it was, and Japan is coming in hot, attacking Midway. At 7:10, Japan spots the U.S. team coming in and brutally stops them, just like absolutely no leeway getting in there right now. At 7:45, we see the sub try to attack them as well. The sub like sets out a missile later on, and I'll talk about that. Dick and Murray head out at this time. Limit gives an update about like, oh, it was Midway. They are attacking indeed Midway. So our little thing was a success. Our intel was successful. So the sub gets ready to attack. They fire their torpedo, but the torpedo fails to hit anything. So they are just not doing good. At 9:30, the sub is attacked as a countermeasure, and Dick and his crew arrive on the scene as that is happening, and more planes are falling. So the team presses the attack at 9:55, and Japan plans a new attack in the process. So Dick manages to find the boats and moves in, and the U.S. group starts to fire off their bombs and starts to finally take out some of the boats and retort. So they manage to cut down some other ships, and Dick dives in, doing his own hit. The U.S. have this other guy, Bungo, or whatever his name was, head out. Japan leader is told to flee, but he remains, and at 4:30 the leader gets a letter telling him how they got really messed up with. But the Bungo guy gets captured by the Japanese vessel, and he doesn't say a word. Hooked down and killed in the process. So Japan has one flight crew left. They're running out of resources. Dick gets an update on what's going on. He's getting more sick because his mask thing has like didn't have like the proper air in it or whatever. Has his crew head out. Does right before he wants to head back, and he sees them one more time. So he flies out, and the plane battles begin, and Dick manages to hit off that one more bomb. Um, we cut to the families meeting up with their wives, and Dick returned after the fact. The Japan crew, what's left of it, abandoned the ship that is the last remaining ship that has fallen. The two Japanese leaders remain, going out with the ship, and one final note is sent out. And Nimitz uh, gets that report and says that Japan has fled and that the war has been won. Um, and it shows like as the credits are sort of rolling out, the people who fought mostly on the American side. It showed like one of the Japanese characters as well, or at least two of them, I think. Um, and we see all that happen, and that was Midway. Yeah, I don't know my history all too well. I knew about Pearl Harbor and I knew about Hiroshima after the fact, but I didn't know about Midway, about this being sort of like the immediate sort of like aftermath of all of that. So it is an interesting little full length version of these events. Um, it's interesting to to see the perspective from both sides. I do wish it was a little bit more evened out, though, in terms of that, but we do get to see how the Japanese characters are reacting to certain things. They really short play Hiroshima big time here, which is I'm a little bit shocked by that, but um, this movie does feel a little bit leaning toward the American side, but because that side won, you know, here the victors write the movies or whatever the scenario you want to spell out is. Um, so yeah, I enjoyed this little history recreation. There was a obvious moment in the movie where the dramatics were like super imposed, but like when the boats were like being uh, placed down, and then you have like the one rookie character like suffering his way to make it to the other boat. So they played up the dramatics a little bit, but for the most part, it seemed like they kept it pretty grounded. Um, I'm not sure like how well planes like handled back in the day, because it suggests that Dick was like really good at like bumping the plane to like underneath a ship and then having it like hook back up and then land instantly. Um, I'm not sure how accurate that exact movement is. I wouldn't know. But other than those little moments, I'd say it's an interesting look at events. Again, just some overlooked. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. I would have liked to see a little bit more back and forth. Particularly when it came to Hiroshima, I felt like that was definitely underwhelming. Because that was just as devastating, if anything else. And I feel like they really swept past that moment significantly. Um, so yeah, at the same time, this is also trying to play out an entire other event Midway, which is like the core event, I suppose. So they have to placate a lot of time to that as well. So with that being said, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. Still pretty interesting watch. And if you enjoyed this review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. One, head over to my Discord server, the other to my Patreon page. Any donations are desperately needed, and until next time, everyone, bye-bye.